Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly, and this week I'm talking about what every other Middle East watcher is talking about this week, and that is the situation between Israel and Iran. About a week ago, the Israeli Air Force launched a preemptive strike against targets related to the Islamic regime in Iran. And just for clarification, I am calling the regime in Iran the Islamic regime in Iran, because that is what most opposition to that regime, Iranian opposition, call the regime. Because they don't see it as an Iranian regime. They don't see it as the legitimate leaders of Iran. They see it as an extremist Islamic regime which usurped power in 1979 and still holds the Iranian people under its oppression. So that is just a bit of clarification on that terminology. But anyway, a week ago, the Israeli Air Force launched a preemptive strike against the Islamic regime in Iran targets. We're talking military bases, we're talking officials related to the IRGC and the Iranian military, and of course, the nuclear enrichment sites. Now, why? Why would Israel do this? Because a number of reports indicated that the regime was racing towards a nuclear device, that it had shortened its breakout time significantly and already had done a wide array of testing, preparing for the ability to create a nuclear device. Well, several, in fact. Now look, if you've ever been paying attention, since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, which brought the Islamic Republic into existence, its initial founder, Ayatollah Khamenei, and his successors, his advisors, have all been clear about one thing: that they will destroy Israel, that they will wipe it from the map. Prior to 1979, Israel and Iran had great relations. They were close allies. With Khamenei's rise to power, that completely changed. And since 1979, the Islamic regime in Iran has been engaged in a war against Israel. There's no other way we can really say it. It is engaged in terrorism, be it in Bulgaria, be it in Buenos Aires. It tried to create this ring of fire against Israel, this strategy where it would make the everyday life of Israelis complete misery with terrorism. It had Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza. It had Iranian proxies on the border with Syria. It had Iranian proxies in Iraq, and of course you have the Houthis in Yemen. But this regime has constantly said that it will wipe Israel from the map. It has said that its nuclear weapons program would be that weapon. There are quotes from former prime ministers saying that once the Islamic nation has that weapon, Israel's days are numbered. If Jewish history has taught us anything, it is that when somebody says they want to annihilate you, that they want to kill you, believe them. But one thing I think we should all recognize and agree, regardless of the talking heads and the Middle East experts who have emerged in the last week, under no conditions would the world be a better or safer place if the Islamic regime in Iran had nuclear weapons. Just as Israel struck Saddam's nuclear reactor, and it was only years later the world was truly able to see how fortunate and how thankful we should have been to Israel, I believe the same right now. This war didn't start with Israel striking regime targets. This war started in 1979 when the Islamic Republic of Iran pledged itself to the destruction of Israel and didn't spare any effort to try and make that a reality through its proxies and other groups. The Islamic regime in Iran has bombarded Israeli civilians with ballistic missiles. Just last night, they hit a hospital in Beersheba. Now let me just show you something. Anytime in a conflict that Israel is involved with, that it hits a civilian target by mistake, it is the first to say that it was a mistake. It is the first to apologize. It is the first to acknowledge the tragic loss of human life. Go check that out for yourself if you don't believe it. When Israel has raided hospitals in Gaza, it has shown the precise intelligence of how Hamas are using those hospitals. It shows the evidence. The regime in Iran, the Islamic regime in Iran, yesterday struck a hospital and now is making excuses. Even before that, when the regime launched a drone and missile strike on Israel last year, it targeted civilians. It fired hundreds of projectiles. Again, thankfully, Israel's air defense systems prevented any real damage. This time it's been different. People have been killed, people have been injured, but still, because of Israel's network of air defense systems, because of its bomb shelters, the human cost has not been higher. I want to thank Israel. I want to thank Israel for showing courage where the world has shown weakness and appeasement. Israel has took action to ensure that future generations will not live under the umbrella of nuclear terrorism from a regime which has used terrorism as a tip of the spear of its foreign policy. I want to express my solidarity with the Israeli people, those in shelters right now, those fighting to protect the civilians. And finally, we cannot forget that there are still hostages being held in Gaza. And this is why you must be in the room in Washington, D.C., standing up proudly with Israel, standing united, and showing Israel that it is not alone. So I invite you a week out. Please join us in Washington, D.C. for the CUFI Summit, because right now is one of the most pivotal moments in history, and we need your voice more than ever. This is Kasim Hafeez for the CUFI Weekly. For Zion's sake, do not remain silent. Thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe so you get a notification every time a new episode hits. And if you want to check out some of our previous episodes, and we've got some really good ones, click on one of the thumbnails and that will take you right there. And finally, if you want to know more about CUFI and the work we do, go to CUFI.org to check out all the resources we have available free to you.